Hello and welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We have Robbo, Craig and Stevie answering your questions here today. Right, okay. Just waiting. Sometimes there's a little...
Have you seen the questions?
I've seen them.
Oh, is that why you're singing?
No.
No? All right.
Are you feeling better, Stevie?
Oh.
Aye.
Yeah, you're a little under the weather yesterday.
Yep, I was, aye.
We thought that
amazing recovery.
Yeah, because Sergio Ramos had retired, he just couldn't get over from international football. He couldn't get over the bad news. But we'll get to that.
Going to come in for that segment alone.
There's a question on it, so don't worry. First question's for Robbo. Who's impressed you the most in the Champions League first legs and who's underperformed in your eyes?
Oh, the Champions, yes. Well, I'm going to go for the team that disappointed me. I did the game, and it was PSG. I thought they approached the game completely the wrong way. They were home against Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich hadn't been playing particularly well. And for 65, 70 minutes, they decided to sit back and allow Bayern Munich to dominate the game until Mbappe came on, and then they changed their mood completely. So they were the team that really disappointed me. And you'd have to say the team that were above expectations were Real Madrid. It was a great performance, 2-0 down, but they came back and played some excellent football. Their top players came to the fore. So they're the two teams that impressed me and not quite so much.
All right, who's done a better job this season, Arteta or Ten Hag?
Oh. I'd have to say Arteta. I mean, they've both done a great job, but ultimately he's manoeuvred them. Well, saying that, Man United are not out of the title race. It's tough, that one, isn't it?
Good question, isn't it?
I think you're right with your first impression.
Yeah, just because he's manoeuvred them into basically, you could argue that they were the favourites and they're still in pole position now. From where they were last year, when they didn't even make, they made the Europa League, didn't they?
Who?
Arsenal.
Yeah,
they made the Europa League.
Missed out on top four.
Missed out on top four. To play the football they've played and be top of the league for as long as they have been, Arteta by a nose.
And Stevie's agreeing with that. What would you say, Robbo?
Yeah, I would agree. When Arsenal at the start of the season, we all said where they're going to end up. I certainly said about 5th or 6th. At the moment, they're, I would say, the favourites for the title.
That's the anti-Man United bias again on the show, because nobody's gone for Eric Ten Hag, so straight away we all hate Man United. You know what I mean? You know how it works.
Everybody knows
how it
that
works,
anyway, that you all do. All right.
Yeah.
Craig, is Xavi at fault for the loss yesterday?
Why? What did
he do to lose them again?
Well, he was missing 2 of his best players. United are playing really well, and they were at home. He didn't mess about the back four like he did in the first leg, so his players were in the positions we thought they should have been in the Camp Nou, with Araujo back in, with Christensen, Burley and Koundé, so not much. I think he was just outplayed in the end, to be honest.
Agree, Stevie?
Yep, absolutely. I don't think he did anything yesterday you could point the finger at, as Craig said. First leg, different ball game.
For Stevie, if you were provided a 250 million war chest tomorrow, who would you bring into the Liverpool squad?
£250 million. So I can get what? 2 proper players?
4. 3.
I can get... See, we've got to decide how many players I can get.
Well, who do you want most of all?
Bellingham?
Most of all, I would take Bellingham in a heartbeat.
There's 100 gone.
There's 100 gone. Caicedo from Brighton.
There's 60.
Yeah,
There's 60, 160. So that gives me 90.
You need a centre-half? No? Where are you going?
I think Kanate.
Where are you going?
I think if Kanate can stay fit, I think he's...
There's a good one at Man United. Yeah. Left side as well.
Luke Shaw.
What about a right back that can defend? What about a right back that can defend or wants to defend? Yeah. What about that, Stevie?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that seems like a smart move, but I'll tell you what, Rob, there's not many of them around these days. Right backs that can defend. I can't think. I'm trying to think of one.
No.
Walker.
Well, you wouldn't pick the Manchester United one, would you?
No, Dallo, no. No.
You were
Wan-Bissaka?
thinking about...
No, but I mean, well, see, that's the thing. I mean, if you're talking one-on-one defending, then Wan-Bissaka is really good. He's probably as good as MD. But he's got 2 left feet.
Yeah, you're getting nothing going forward. You're not getting a lot going forward.
You're getting nothing going forward.
What about Reece James at Chelsea? Reece James at Chelsea. Would you have him?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's a player.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a player.
So there you go.
Chelsea's best player.
You're hoping for Bellingham, Caicedo, and
Bellingham, Caicedo, and Reece James. Thank you, Robbo, for your help.
there you go. Sporting director Robbo.
Yeah.
Start, bench, or drop Robbo. Casemiro, Rodri, and Partey.
Well, for his experience, for his understanding, I'd always play Casemiro. Again, for his experience, and he's proved to be a winner time and time again with Man City. Rodri, he would be the next one, and Partey, who's still got a bit to learn. Very good for Arsenal at the moment. He would be my third favourite out of those 3.
I don't actually think Rodri's playing it. I think he's a fantastic player, but I think he's not actually playing as well as he was. Rodri, that is, at the moment. He's given the ball away more in the last 3 or 4 games. And I'm not really thinking about the Leipzig game. I was thinking about, was it the Tottenham game? What was it? Can't remember the game he made a mistake. So he's not quite been on his A game. But they're all good players, aren't they? That's Robbo's anti-Arsenal ways again. They didn't want to put Partey in.
Yeah. Partey's done very well.
Hates
but
everyone.
At the moment, he's not got the experience or the backup that Rodri and Casemiro have with all the medals and trophies there's won, and that sort of game understanding, I would say.
He doesn't have the guile of the other 2, does he?
No.
Partey. I don't think he's got the guile of the other 2.
All right. For Stevie, here it is. Your boy Sergio Ramos retired from international football yesterday. Where do you rate him all time among centre-backs? Top 10 maybe?
Well, if you give me time, I could compile a top 10 and he might not be in it.
I've got a feeling he's not in your top 10.
Here's the problem, right? This depends. It depends on how you put this question. I mean, all the things that he's done have been about his leadership going forward, about scoring goals.
Who are you looking at?
About his drive, about like leading the team. As far as playing the game's concerned, you can't have a world record amount of red cards and yellow cards and be considered a great defender as such.
But zero red cards for Spain.
Okay.
When you started the answer there, you said, if you give me time, I might not put him in, which suggests you think he is in the top 10 when you think about it straight away.
No. That's just the way you've taken it.
Okay, I'll give Stevie something to think. I'll give Stevie something else to think about.
It's a loaded question.
Go on, Robbo.
I'll give Stevie something else to think about. Now, we've just seen the Bicycle Diaries on the show, and Marcelo was the left back, who never was a left back. He was always in the left wing position. And Sergio Ramos, as he did against Liverpool in the European Cup final, the Champions League final, he did the centre-half job and the left-back's job. And he sorted out Mo Salah on that day with a bad tack or whatever. But he was prepared to defend the big area, and he actually did a lot of Marcelo's defending for him. He was isolated at times, so most of the time he was a very good player. You have to give him that.
So he's top 10 for you, Robbo?
Most of the time.
Yes, I would say most of the time. Yeah.
See, I'm not going to get him, but I think I'm not speaking for him. But I think, am I right in saying when Stevie's looking at a defender, anyone who spends as much, forget the red cards, anybody that spends as much time on his backside is not as good as the guys that have read it already. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not good.
Positionally, there have been a lot of centre-halves, defenders that have been better at reading the game than Ramos.
Okay. So he's not.
Is that a safe?
Is he making it then?
Yeah, I don't. Look, if somebody says the world-class defender, right? then there are certain things I'm looking for. And I'm not looking for a world record amount of red cards and yellow cards if you're for defending.
What are you looking?
That straight away goes against everything.
What about all the titles he won with Spain and Real Madrid?
But you can't. We're not talking about that. We're not talking. There's loads of guys that have won, but they got World Cup medals that weren't that great.
3 major titles in a row with Spain that you started on all 3 of them.
We're not talking about who's won what. We're talking about as a defender. As a defender. So if you've got the world record red cards and yellow cards, that means you're making mistakes as the defender. Would you agree with that?
Or maybe you're getting caught up in arguments and things you shouldn't be too.
But that's why you're not a good defender, because you shouldn't be getting caught up in arguments. That's part of the game. So that means that psychologically you're easily put off. If you're getting involved with things and getting red cards and yellow cards, that's not a good thing, is it? Is it?
So is this your long way
Hold it,
around
answer the question. No, you're busy throwing a question at me, so answer my question.
No,
never mind, no. No, never mind, no. Can you just answer the question, right?
So it's not great.
Can you answer the question?
It's not great, but it is great if you're starting in major title wins.
You could have just answered the question.
Right?
You just answered the question. It's not great.
But you're ignoring that to talk about the red cards.
I'm not. I'm putting it all together. I'm putting it all together.
So he's not in your top 10?
I could put a top 10 together and he wouldn't be in it.
All right.
And none of those players would have as many reds and yellows, and none of those players would have got wound up and started getting involved.
All right.
Because that's part of the game. Would you agree? That's part of the game.
Yeah, but so
there you
winning,
go, thank you.
Yeah, but then he's lucky he's in some sense he's playing at Real Madrid and playing for Spain at that time when they had the best team. So that's a different argument. It's a bit like saying, you know, the Argentinian boys that won the World Cup off the back of some brilliance from Messi and 1 or 2 others, they were workmanlike.
Right.
But it doesn't mean they're the best defenders, or, you know, Rodrigo de Paul's now the best midfielder in Europe, playing in Europe because they won the World Cup. I would say Maldini and Baresi. I mean, you could go to Italy, where over the years they have had arguably some of the great defenders.
Half a dozen could be in the top 10. Sarria, guy who played at Juventus.
One thing we know is that
you wouldn't even know the guy was. Hold on, you would never have known the guy was playing. This guy, Sarria, centre back. You'd never have known he was on the field. He was that good.
So he's in the top.
He didn't have to make a tackle. He didn't have to make a tackle and get a yellow. He didn't have to make a tackle and get a red, because he either got there first and cleaned it up, or made sure somebody else was there to clean it up before it all happened.
He's going to go to Alan Hansen in a minute. He's going to say Alan Hansen and Mark Lawrenson in a minute.
Oh no, I don't even need to go there. Hey, Robbo, they're my two bankers, my backup.
Well, he's got that. At least we know what next week's. There's not many slow days next week. There's a lot of games, but Stevie's top 10 defenders.
Yeah, that's a good one, and we'll get him a set.
Now that Xhaka's not around for the time being.
Yeah. We know one person who isn't definitely making it in there. All right, start, bench or sell. This is for all of you. Dan Thomas's frosted tips, Burley's bleached hair, or Stevie's 3 on top, 2 on the sides.
Oh, but listen, the three on the top, 2 on the sides starts all day.
Come on, hold on a second.
No, but that's not the picture. The picture where, the one where
That's it growing out a little bit, right? That's not the first.
No, Stevie, when they sent that picture that we had, I don't know, we obviously haven't got it now, when his head just looked like a year-old potato on the top.
And he just
hold on a second. Is your eyesight okay?
Yeah, I'm not looking at your hair.
Can you not see the thing in the middle?
Yeah, but that thing in the middle was not worse than when you told the barber the wrong settings. Do you remember?
I do, yeah.
I mean,
all I would say is the picture on the right-hand side, I don't think he ever thinks his hair looks particularly good. The one in the middle was doing it for a bit of a joke at the World Cup. But the other bloke thinks he's a male model. That's the big problem with that, Dan Thomas. So he's got to be benched straight away.
He does look at that pose.
Who are you playing then, Robbo?
Oh, I've got to play Craig. I mean, at least he's got some Barnet in that one and it looks OK. You know, it might be bleached, but it looks as though it's a decent style.
What do you reckon, Stevie? Start, bench or sell here?
But that's the wrong picture for Nicol, so it's null and void. It's not the right... Like, Dan, the only thing he should be modelling...
It's not a particularly great picture, that one, either.
No.
Dan uses it all the time
honest.
on Twitter, but he won't
Let's be honest. It's not a good look, is it?
It's not a very endearing photo of you. Seen better.
No.
What should Dan Thomas be modelling? Spark plugs?
Gloves, door knockers.
Balaclavas?
See, the problem is...
I was going to say clothes for children.
Ski helmets?
The other two are really bad. That as much as Dan looks as though he's posing, Dan's looks not too bad next to the other two.
Right,
So you're going to start Dan?
I'd have to start Dan.
I bet he'd have Sergio Ramos in his top 10 centre-backs of all time.
Yeah, well, he's a fanboy. That's why.
That will do it for the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. Make sure to do so every day, and the panel will answer them on ESPN FC.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.